it like this. These two crews right here is what I call bad.
Real fans of You Got Served know what happens when you hear breathe in, breathe out. You don't just watch, you react. Back in 2004, this low-budget dance film wasn't expected to go far, yet it exploded into a cultural moment that redefined street dance worldwide. But behind the battles and backflips is a story most people never heard, including an early path that involved Aaliyah. So if you think you know the movie, think again. Because did you know that the original lead was supposed to be Aaliyah? Or that audiences literally started battling in theater aisles? Join us as we count down 21 weird facts about You Got Served that will serve you straight to your face. Number 21. The first real fight. Fans might expect every moment of a dance movie to be tightly choreographed, right down to the fake punches. But the most chaotic scene in You Got Served, the brawl that erupts during the first major battle, started as a genuine, unplanned fistfight. The cast had been rehearsing for weeks, but the competitive tension between rival crews had grown toxic behind the scenes. One dancer muttered a taunt after the final freeze position, another shoved back, and within seconds, real punches were flying across the warehouse floor. The director later admitted in interviews that he didn't cut the scenes. Instead, he let the cameras keep rolling because the raw fury looked too authentic to waste. However, production nearly shut down afterwards. Two dancers were bleeding from split lips, and security had to drag Omarion away from the scuffle physically. Tensions were so high that the director had to meditate for an entire day to calm down. In the end, only about 40% of that real fight made the final cut. The rest was too violent for a PG-13 rating and was left on the editing room floor. But if the violence was real, what about the opening dance sequence? Was that any smoother? Number 20. One dance took weeks. That stunning 4-minute alley dance that opens the film looks like a single, effortless flow of athleticism. But in reality, it was a nightmare of logistics, injuries, and wasted footage. The cast spent 2 full weeks learning the routine, not because they were slow dancers, but because the choreographer had designed it as a call-and-response conversation. Every single move had to land within a half beat of the previous one, making the timing brutally unforgiving. Then they spent another week shooting on a real Los Angeles alley, not a padded soundstage with sprung floors. The concrete destroyed knees and palms. One dancer landed wrong on a backflip on day 3 and couldn't walk for 6 hours. Another dislocated a finger but kept dancing anyway, only taping it between takes. The strangest part is that in the final cut, only about 70% of what they learned was used. The remaining 30%, including a 30-second floor work exchange that the cast considered their best work, was abandoned simply because the studio thought the film was already running too long for its intended audience. Speaking of the cast, was this movie always meant for the members of B2K? Number 19. The lead who almost didn't lead. The writer-director, Chris Stokes, also happened to manage the boy band B2K, and he later confirmed that he wrote the script as a vehicle to turn his singers into movie stars. Every character's personality was lifted directly from the real members. Omarion as the reluctant, smooth leader, Lil Fizz as the comic relief, Raz B as the hothead, and J Boog as the quiet muscle. But the weirdest twist is that Omarion, one of the lead actors, a singer with a notoriously busy touring schedule, somehow found time to take 500 hours of Spanish lessons before filming began. The actor never explained why in interviews. After all, his character does not speak a single word of Spanish in the movie. When a reporter asked him about this unusual preparation, the actor shrugged and said something like, "Why not?" As if learning an entire language for a film that never uses it was a completely normal thing to do. Fellow cast members later admitted they had no idea he was taking lessons. They only found out when they heard him speaking fluent Spanish to a crew member between takes. Even the choreographer later joked that the actor spent more time learning Spanish than he did rehearsing the final dance battle. You Got Served's actors had a lot of energy, and that energy also produced one of the film's most famous dance moves. But was it even planned? Number 18. A different kind of ending. In the final battle, one dancer does a standing backflip, and his partner catches his hands mid-rotation, pulling him upright into one fluid, gravity-defying motion. Fans have replayed that moment millions of times, assuming it was meticulously choreographed over hours of rehearsal. It wasn't. The choreographer later explained that they were rehearsing a completely different ending to that sequence. When the first dancer under-rotated his backflip, his partner instinctively grabbed his wrists to stop him from face-planting directly onto the concrete floor. Instead of falling, the first dancer pushed off the grip and snapped into a standing position, as if he had planned it all along. The entire crew went silent. They tried to replicate the move for 2 straight hours and failed every time. The physics of the catch only worked that one. Accidental first take. So the final film uses that exact accidental take. If anyone watches closely, they can see the catcher's surprised expression right before his hands shoot out. That's not acting. That's genuine fear turning into a legendary dance move purely by chance. If that moment was unplanned, what else was hidden in the background of the climactic battle? Number 17. The phantom character named Rashan. The actor Lil Fizz, a real member of B2K, is listed in the credits as playing a character named Rashan. But here is the strange part. No one has ever been able to point to Rashan on screen. He is never addressed by name in any dialogue, and he never gets a close-up or a speaking line. The only clue that Rashan exists comes from a single phone call. At one point, Omarion's character David answers a call and says, "What's up, Rashan?" But the camera never shows who is on the other end. Fans have rewatched the film frame by frame, searching for Lil Fizz playing anyone other than his known character. They have found nothing. Some believe Rashan was a character whose scenes were entirely cut from the final film, leaving only the name behind in the credits and that one throwaway line of dialogue. Others think it was an inside joke among the cast, a fake character invented for no reason. Either way, Rashan remains the phantom of You Got Served, credited, named, but never seen. It is the kind of weird production mystery that keeps fans arguing decades later. If one character existed only in a phone call, how did the filmmakers keep the rival crews feeling genuinely competitive during rehearsal? Number 16. 2 legendary dance studios, 2 separate crews. To make the on-screen rivalry between dance crews feel completely authentic, the production team came up with a clever strategy. They kept the 2 crews physically separated during rehearsals. One crew trained at Millennium Dance Complex in Los Angeles, a world-renowned studio where artists like Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake have rehearsed. The other crew trained at the Debbie Allen Dance Academy, founded by the legendary choreographer and actress. The dancers never saw each other's routines before filming. They did not mingle, did not compare notes, and did not become friends. By the time the cameras rolled for the warehouse battle scenes, the 2 groups genuinely did not know what the other side had prepared. That unfamiliarity and tension reads clearly on screen, the suspicion, the competitive glares, the raw energy. It was not acting. The dancers were seeing each other's moves for the first time in real time. The result is one of the most authentic dance battle sequences ever filmed, all because someone thought to keep the crews apart until the very last moment. If the rehearsal spaces were separate, what other behind-the-scenes secrets did the actors keep hidden? Number 15. Changing moves. One of the lead actors wasn't just a performer. He was a professional choreographer who had previously worked with major pop stars like Britney Spears. And he privately thought the film's official choreography was too clean and not street enough for the characters they were playing. So he simply started improvising. During the first warehouse battle, about 60% of Columbus Short's moves were made up on the spot. He didn't tell the director. He didn't tell the lead choreographer. He would listen to the beat, feel the energy of the other dancers, and just go. The iconic moment where he drops into a one-handed freeze and then springs directly into a tap combination was a last-second decision made while the cameras were already rolling. The official choreographer discovered the deception only when he watched the dailies after filming wrapped. He was furious, not because the improvised moves were bad, but because he couldn't take credit for them. The 2 didn't speak for 6 months after production ended. Later, the official choreographer admitted in an interview that those unscripted moves were what made the film memorable. The strange lesson: sometimes the best choreography in a dance movie is the kind the choreographer never approved, But if the lead actor was rewriting his own moves, did anyone else in the cast have secret dance credentials that the director never knew about? Number 14. Hiding in plain sights. One of the most respected choreographers in pop music history appeared in You Got Served for exactly 8 seconds, and most fans never noticed. He had worked with some of the biggest names in the industry, and yet there he was playing the silent leader of a rival dance crew. The director asked him to appear as a favor, and he agreed on one condition: no close-ups, no dialogue, and no credit in the opening titles. He wanted to be treated like any other background dancer. The strange part is that he actually choreographed his own crew's moves for that battle, but the director rejected them and used someone else's routine instead. The choreographer reportedly stood on set, watching other dancers perform his rejected choreography that had been slightly modified. After the scene wrapped, he walked off without saying a word to the director. Years later, he admitted that the experience taught him never to mix acting with his day job. Fans who rewatch the film today still argue about which background face is actually him. But if a famous choreographer was hiding in plain sight, what was hidden in plain sight in the set itself? Number 13. The movie was written for Aaliyah and Genuine. B2K boys did a great job as leads of the movie, but most fans have no idea that they were never supposed to be in the movie in the first place. You Got Served had completely different leads, Aaliyah and Genuine. In fact, the original title wasn't even You Got Served. It was called Dance, just Dance. Director Chris Stokes wrote it with those two R&B icons in mind, imagining the electric chemistry they would bring at the peak of their powers. Then, August 25, 2001 happened. Aaliyah died in a plane crash in the Bahamas. She was 22 years old. The project went dark immediately. Chris didn't know what to do with it, and for a while it looked like Dance would never get made. The vision died with her. But Chris made a decision. He turned the entire thing around. He changed the concept, shifted the focus. Instead of 2 solo stars, he built it around a group he already managed, B2K, the boys he had guided since they were teenagers. Their group name means Boys of the New Millennium, and they already had hits in the early 2000s. Dave cast J-Boog, Raz B, Lil Fizz, and Omarion, who led the crew. He also cast Marques Houston, J-Boog's cousin, as the lead role. Just like that, Dance became You Got Served. The movie that almost started with a legend ended up launching a dozen other careers instead. But how long did the script sit for that made its cast never believe it could be their breakthrough? Number 12. The script sat for 6 years. Chris Stokes didn't write You Got Served in 2003. He wrote it around 1998, maybe earlier. The man had vision. He saw the underground dance battle scene in Los Angeles and knew it could be a movie, but Hollywood didn't agree. Nobody wanted to greenlight a street dance film with no major stars, no proven box office draw, no guarantee of success, so the script collected dust. Then Stokes realized something obvious that the studios had missed. He didn't need Hollywood to give him stars because he already had them. B2K was selling out arenas. Marques Houston had a built-in fan base from his days in Immature, and the audience was already there. All Stokes had to do was put them on screen. He brought the script to Screen Gems, pitched it as a vehicle for his artists, and asked for an $8 million budget with a shooting schedule of less than 2 months. They said yes. 6 years of patience paid off in one meeting, proving that sometimes the best strategy is simply waiting for the industry to catch up to what you already know. But once the script was greenlit, how did the cast prepare to make the dancing feel genuinely authentic? Number 11. The cast snuck into real underground dance battles. You can't fake authenticity, and Stokes knew that, so before they shot anything, he sent everyone into the field. The actors, the director, the producers, to infiltrate real underground dance battles across Los Angeles. No cameras, no entourage, just observation. They watched how crews moved, how they talked, how they battled, absorbing the energy, the tension, the stakes. Marques Houston later said they trained for it like a sport, 4.5 weeks of dance rehearsals, plus 2 additional weeks for acting scenes. The choreography came from real street dancers, some of whom ended up in the movie, while others went on to dance for Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, and Madonna. They didn't just learn moves, They learned the culture, the disrespect, the pride. And speaking of authenticity, did any future celebrities appear unnoticed in the background of those scenes? Number 10. Spears' husband was a background dancer. Most people don't know this, but Kevin Federline actually started his career as a dancer trying to make it, and his first film credit ever was You Got Served. He appears as a background dancer, blink and you miss him, but he's there. In 2004, nobody knew his name. He was just another body in the crowd scenes, another guy hitting marks and collecting a paycheck. Then everything changed. Later that same year, he started dating Britney Spears, and by September they were married. Suddenly, the anonymous dancer from You Got Served was on every magazine cover in America. Kevin understood that because he lived it, and You Got Served was proof that the movie was full of future stars hiding in plain sight. Nobody knew it yet, but the background of this low-budget dance film was practically a breeding ground for Hollywood's next wave. Still, even with all that hidden talent, the group at the center of the movie couldn't hold itself together. What happened to B2K? Number 9. The Friendship Heartbreak. The timing was brutal. You Got Served hit theaters on January 30, 2004, and B2K announced their breakup that same month. The movie was designed to showcase the group's talents, their chemistry, their future as crossover stars, but behind the scenes, everything was falling apart. Cash disputes, management issues, internal disagreements, the usual boy band implosion. The soundtrack was the last album B2K ever made together, their final project as a group. Omarion went solo almost immediately, and his debut album dropped in 2005, debuting at number 1. The other members scattered. Lil Fizz, Raz B, J Boog all pursued separate paths. For 14 years, B2K stayed broken, and nobody knew if they would ever reunite. Then, in 2018, they announced a reunion tour, and the Millennium Tour sold out arenas across America. But in 2004, no one saw that comeback coming. All anyone knew was that the group behind You Got Served was finished before the credits even rolled. There's a certain poetry in that. A film about a crew fighting to stay together, released by a crew that couldn't. Despite the behind-the-scenes collapse, did audiences actually show up for the film? Number 8. Battles in theaters. The movie didn't just play, it activated people. Omarion said something remarkable in interviews years later. In the first week the film came out, they got reports that people were actually battling in the theaters. Audiences got out of their seats, danced in the aisles, and challenged each other like they were in Mr. Rad's warehouse. The film became more than entertainment. It became participation. Matt Stone from South Park saw it at the Magic Johnson Theaters in South Central Los Angeles, and he later called it the worst film in the world, while also admitting that watching the audience dance made it one of the best theatrical experiences he had ever had. For a few weeks in early 2004, movie theaters turned into dance battlegrounds, where strangers became rivals, and rivals became legends, all because a low-budget film dared to treat street dancing like a sport worth cheering for. That kind of audience enthusiasm makes us wonder, did the filmmakers actually teach people the moves? Number 7. A dance video just like Breakin'. Shortly after the DVD dropped, the crew released a companion video called You Got Served, Take It to the Streets, which was an instructional breakdown of the actual routines from the film. Dave Scott, the choreographer, walked viewers through the moves step by step, using the same energy and sequences so fans could practice at home. Here is where it gets interesting. Breakin' did the exact same thing in 1984. That film was the main influence for You Got Served. Omarion grew up obsessed with it, and just like You Got Served, Breakin' released its own instructional dance companion on VHS. 20 years apart, the same playbook. The 1984 version taught kids how to pop and lock in their living rooms, and the 2004 version did the same thing for a new generation. With all that momentum, which future stars learned their craft on that very set? Number 6. Harry Shum Jr. started here. Just like Kevin, Harry Shum Jr. was an uncredited dancer in You Got Served. He was 22 years old in 2004, fresh out of San Francisco, hungry for any opportunity. He had dropped out of college to chase dance professionally, moving to Los Angeles with nothing but talent and ambition. You Got Served gave him his first taste of film, but that was just the beginning. Around the same time, he also appeared in Apple's famous silhouetted iPod commercials, the ones where dancers moved against bright-colored backgrounds. Small roles in Step Up and Step Up 3D built momentum. Then Glee happened in 2009. He played Mike Chang for 6 seasons, earned 4 Screen Actors Guild nominations, and won once. In 2018, he appeared in Crazy Rich Asians, one of the biggest films of the year. All of it traces back to a dance movie that critics hated and audiences loved. You Got Served wasn't just a film. It was a launchpad for dozens of careers, and Shum Jr. might be the most successful example. But he wasn't the only one who used this film as a springboard. Another future star emerged from the same background dancer pool, but his path took a very different route through television. Number 5. Columbus Short before Scandal. Columbus Short made his film debut in You Got Served as a background dancer, the same as Federline and Shum, but his trajectory moved fast. 2 weeks into Britney Spears' Onyx Hotel tour, he got promoted from dancer to choreographer and then to creative director. The woman saw something in him. Hollywood saw it too. In 2007, he landed the lead role in Stomp the Yard, another dance movie. Except this time, he was the star. The film grossed over $75 million worldwide, and his face was everywhere. Then came Scandal in 2012. He played Harrison Wright, Olivia Pope's right-hand man, for 3 seasons of prestige television. Awards buzz, critical acclaim, all of it started with a background role in You Got Served, a movie that gave dozens of dancers their first real shot. Columbus Short took that shot and ran with it, proving that the line between anonymous background performer and household name can be thinner than anyone realizes. But the film's influence didn't stop with individual actors. It changed an entire genre. If one low-budget film could launch so many careers, what did it do for the landscape of dance movies as a whole? Number 4. It launched the dance battle movie wave. Before You Got Served, dance movies certainly existed. There was Footloose, Dirty Dancing, Save the Last Dance. But street dance battles, underground crews competing for cash and respect, that was new territory for mainstream film. You Got Served created the template. Within 3 years, Stomp the Yard dropped, then Step Up 3D, then Battle of the Year. The genre exploded. Reality shows followed. America's Best Dance Crew, So You Think You Can Dance. All of it traces back to 2004, to a low-budget film about B2K and their friends dancing in a warehouse. The parodies came too: South Park, Dance Flick by the Wayans Brothers, Meet the Spartans, even Robot Chicken took shots. When you get parodied that much, it means you mattered. You Got Served didn't just succeed at the box office, it changed the entire industry. It proved that audiences were hungry for a specific kind of raw, competitive dance storytelling that Hollywood had been ignoring. The film's DNA can be found in nearly every dance battle sequence made in the last 20 years, from music videos to major motion pictures. That kind of cultural influence is rare for any movie, let alone one made for $8 million. For all its influence, the film was never expected to make serious money, so how did it perform against all odds? Number 3. Turning $8 million to $48 million. Nobody expected this movie to dominate. The budget was $8 million, modest by Hollywood standards. The cast had no proven box office draws, just a boy band and some dancers. Screen Gems released it on Super Bowl weekend, January 30, 2004, the same weekend as the big game, when competition was brutal and theaters were usually empty. Then You Got Served opened at number 1. $16 million in the first weekend alone, double the entire production budget in 3 days. By the time it left theaters, the worldwide gross had hit over $48 million. That is a 6-to-1 return on investment. Critics hated it. Rotten Tomatoes gave it 14%. It did not matter. Audiences showed up, they danced, they cheered, and they came back for more. The film's impact was so immediate that one of the most popular animated comedies of all time satirized it within months. Number 2. South Park parodied it 10 weeks later. You Got Served dropped on January 30, 2004. South Park's parody aired on April 7 of the same year, just 10 weeks later. That is an astonishingly fast turnaround for television satire. The episode was called Classic South Park Absurdity. Stan gets served by a crew from Orange County, his dad Randy ends up hospitalized from being served too hard, and Butters has a traumatic tap-dancing backstory that ends in multiple deaths. The whole thing was ridiculous, but the inspiration was real. Matt Stone watched You Got Served at the Magic Johnson Theaters in South Central Los Angeles. He brought Trey Parker with him, and they sat in an almost entirely black audience. And Matt later admitted that he thought the film was terrible as a movie, but he could not deny the experience. He watched people dance in the aisles. The crowd reacted to every move and every beat drop. He said the energy in that theater made it unforgettable, so they turned it into comedy. The episode became a fan favorite and introduced the phrase, "You got served," to a whole new audience. 20 years later, people still quote it. When a movie gets parodied that quickly and that memorably, it has officially arrived in pop culture. But behind all the laughs and the dance battles, there is a tragic story that most fans never knew about. One of the film's most memorable performers was gone just 2 years after the movie came out. Number 1. Losing Emerald. Michael Taliaferro played Emerald, the drug dealer, the man that David and Elgin worked for, the threat hanging over everything in the film. He brought real menace to that role, that deep, raspy voice, that physical presence that made fans believe he would hurt these kids if they did not pay up. Michael had been acting since the early 1990s, taking small roles in bigger films, Half Past Dead with Steven Seagal, Friday After Next. He was building something, slowly but steadily. Then on May 4, 2006, he suffered a stroke at 44 years old and didn't survive. Just 2 years after You Got Served hit theaters, at a time when his career was gaining momentum, Michael Taliaferro was gone. His performance lives on in the film, and every scene with Emerald carries extra weight because Taliaferro made it real. There is no exaggerated villainy, no cartoonish threat, just a dangerous man who does not need to raise his voice to be terrifying. And that is the strangest thing about You Got Served. For all the goofy dialogue, the continuity errors, the last-minute reshoots, and the critical dismissals, there are moments of genuine craft hidden inside. Michael Taliaferro gave one of them. The movie that launched 1,000 memes also contained a truly good performance by an actor who left too soon. Which one of these facts made you hit rewind? Do you think any dance movie hit harder than the Big Bounce final battle? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.